So welcome students. So today we are going to go through the last part of the chapter, that is the open source concepts. So many times you might have come across the word open source if you are really into computers. So somewhere you might have come with this word, that is open source, or you might be downloading a lot of applications, since many of you might be the computer savvy, so you might download many applications. And while downloading, you might have come across this word, that is open source concept. So open source concept is something that we are going to look. So softwares are mainly categorized. Okay, now this is the page number, that is 34 of the ebook that I am referring to, page number 34. And that's the ebook that I'm referring, which I have I have sent this ebook on the WhatsApp. So even yesterday I have sent this ebook on the WhatsApp. So children, those who have opted for computer science, so please download this particular ebook, and then you can use this ebook along with me. You can just refer to the page, that is 34. uh, Time has changed, so yes, it's about ebooks now. So please open the ebook onto your computer, or on your mobile also you can use it. So softwares are mainly categorized into the following categories based on their licenses. So what kind of licenses softwares can have? That is, first is proprietary license. So now this is something, means straight away means like it is not free, and you have to pay money to basically basically to use that software. So that's a proprietary software. Example you can take for a proprietary software is the OS that we use, that is the Windows operating system, and the Office application, Office package that we use. And there are many other applications of Windows which are not free, you have to pay for it. So Windows basically is a OS which is a proprietary software which belongs to a particular company, and the company holds the rights onto that product. So Windows is a product of Microsoft. Office, MS Office is a product of Microsoft. So Microsoft is the owner of these softwares, isn't it? So that's the proprietary software. And then we have shareware. Okay, let me just read through this. We pay a supplier for a copy of software which these days may be supplied on physical media, that is on disk, or downloaded from the internet. In fact, we don't have this option nowadays. Everything is available on the internet, and through the internet you download it. So we get the permission to use the software on one or sometimes more than one machine. Example of this software includes some Microsoft Office and Windows. Now that's the exact example that I also gave it to you. So since this software, Microsoft Office and Windows, these are not free, you have to pay for these softwares. And then there is a shareware. Shareware basically is a software for trial purpose that the user is allowed to try for free. So there might be so many versions, not versions, I mean so many softwares on the internet. And since it is a kind of a marketing strategy by the companies, so they tell you kind of, okay, you can just download this software, use it for 10 days, and after 10 days the software stops working basically. So this is just to make the user get the feel of the software, get the what exactly the product is. So that is the shareware category. It is usually downloaded from the internet. When the trial period ends, the software must be purchased or uninstalled. In fact, it doesn't work basically after the trial period. So that is called as shareware. And then freeware. This is a very interesting word, freeware, and it's something that everybody loves, this word freeware. Why does it? Is it because these are the software which is absolutely free of cost. So even I love this word freeware. So the word freeware comes, it's a normal, everybody does like that word. So anyway, freeware software is free of cost and usually bundled up with some operating system or other software. So examples of freeware include Microsoft Internet Explorer, but we don't actually have this now. We have Edge, which comes bundled up with any software operating system. So you have OS, Microsoft OS, and along with that you get this browser. So but the current browser that we have of Microsoft is the Edge browser, that is EDGE, Edge. So it's over here, you can see over here, that's the Edge browser. The icon is the same, okay, at the bottom you can see. And in fact this I have opened in the PDF file. In fact I have opened it in the Edge browser, and there are many advantages of using the Edge browser. And one of the advantage that I am using is the highlighter. And so that's the highlighter, and there are many other features they have. So it's very powerful browser basically given by Microsoft. So the author of the freeware software is the owner of the software. So even I can, come up with my own software and I can make it free, but I might put certain conditions onto it. Okay. So the source code is not available for this. Understand? The software is free, but the source code means the code, the entire coding that has been done, that is not free. The programmer's code is not free. It is not available, I mean to say. So no modifications can be done. So you cannot modify that software since the source code is not available. Freeware should not be mistaken with the open source software or free software. Okay, so yes, it is free to use, but the open source, it is not an open source because the source code is not available. I don't know why they used this word, that is free software, because this is a freeware means free software, but only that open source, the source code is not available to you. And then word comes open source. So open source, now this is also something that every programmer loves, this word, that is open source, because any software, any standard software which is an open source software, so what happens is programmers normally can download that software and can make the changes in the software accordingly to the need of their clients basically. So if they are working for the client, so they will download and they will customize it basically, and then they will sell it to the clients. Linux is one of the best examples of open source because Linux is an open source software, so it is free. Even the source code is available. So we have spoke about that Linux you can download, you can make the changes, and you can come up with your own versions. So open source software is a software which gives the user. So welcome back, students. So children, today we are going to learn about the CSV files. Just a minute, children. Okay. Okay, the CSV files and what exactly it is. Okay, in file handling. Okay. There was just a background. There's a background video I had. I was processing it and it started running. No issues. So we were at open source. So open source software is a software which gives the user freedom to use the software for any purpose and in any manner. They can be used. Any manner means you can modify it basically. So they can be used, modified, or even redistributed. Okay, one of the difference between maybe freeware and the open source is also that freeware may be only free to you, but you cannot commercially, you cannot use it. Okay, so you cannot sell it to somebody. Maybe it's free to you, but you cannot sell it to someone. But open source is a different thing. Open source, which you download, you make the changes, and then you redistribute, you can sell it to anybody. So that is also one of the difference between just a freeware and the open source. In simple terms, it can be freely used, but it may not be free of charge. The source code is freely available to the customer. Python, TuxPaint, etc. are examples of open source software. So Python itself is a language where you can create your own modules, you can make modifications, and you can contribute to the community of Python programming language. So open source is that. Then free software. Okay, so freeware and free. Okay, so this type of software is freely accessible and can be freely used, modified, copied, and redistributed by anyone, and no license fee or any other form of payment need to be made for free software. The source code is also accessible in case of free software. So this is like maybe that the open source is not necessarily free, but the source code is maybe freely available, and that is why they said but it may not be free of charge. and that is the difference they have said between freeware, that is and a free software. So free software, they have just categorized this in a way. If I say free software, maybe the software is free and even the source code is free, and that's free software. And if I only say freeware, so I'm free to use the software. That is what they are trying to say over here. So this type of software is freely accessible and can be freely used, modified, copied, or distributed. So you can sell it also to somebody else, whereas freeware you cannot sell, you cannot distribute them. Okay, and no license is required. Source code is also accessible in case of free software. So that was all about the chapter, children. And then we have this exercise part. So answer the following questions. So now you have to do this in your fair copy in your notebook, and it's pretty little, a very small exercise, I would say. So hardware is of no use without software. Answer the following question. And software cannot be used without hardware. Explain. So I guess I have explained this pretty clearly that we have a hardware and there is no software, so we cannot use that hardware. To use that hardware, we require a software. Example, children, you always have to give examples. Example, I purchase a computer. A person purchases a computer and doesn't install the OS, doesn't install the Windows operating system into it. So the person will not able to use that machine. What is going to do with that machine if there is no OS installed into it? So the hardware requires the OS basically, isn't it? And the software also requires the hardware in a way. So how can the software be classified? Name the at least one software in each of the categories. So softwares can be categorized in that was the system software, and the application software and the utility softwares that we have studied. So you can give at least one example, children. What is an operating system? Operating system means it's a system software, and which makes the machine work. I always keep on saying this, it makes the machine work. And name any two popular operating system. Windows most popular, Linux, that these are the two popular operating systems. What is the role of the page map table? That is PMT in a virtual memory management. So page map table, I told you that it maintains the table where it maintains the addresses of the table pages. It maintains the pages basically. So you can refer to page map table. It was, I try to go up. Okay, just a minute. Now I'll come over here. So let me just try to copy that particular part, and then we will search, so that immediately we go there. Search it. So let's go to page map table. So one of one they are setting. Okay, so that was PMT table. We had PMT table. See, that's over here. So page map tables, the operating system keeps track which page of the main memory, that is RAM, is storing which block of secondary memory. Okay, I told you that page map table basically makes use of your hard disk. Why does it makes the use of hard disk? Because the RAM, if it is completely filled, if the main memory is completely filled, so in that case it will make use of the hard disk. Okay, so a virtual address which is not the real physical address is mapped either to the main memory or the secondary memory. So it makes use of the hard disk. Now it is making use of the hard disk, and then it has to maintain a the PMT table just to keep track that in the memory address, just to map the memory address with the secondary memory, just to map the memory main memory address with the secondary memory address. Okay, and that is the PMT table, children. It's very simple. Just you can write PMT table is basically to keep tracks of the pages of the main memory. Okay, that, or track which page of main memory is storing which block of secondary memory. Okay, so basically it is used to map the main memory with the secondary memory. You can say the pages of main memory with the secondary memory. One of the easiest way to just answer this. Okay, so that's the PMT table. And what's the what's the real reason for this? And the real reason that I told you is, since the your main memory gets completely filled up, so if it doesn't use this PMT table, then your computer is going to get hanged. And to avoid that, the operating system will make use of the secondary memory, that is your hard disk. Understand this. And that is the main reason behind this PMT, behind this virtual memory. Understand it. That is virtual memory, what we say. Okay, hence virtual memory allows more programs or even larger programs to be executed in the main memory, leading to efficient memory utilization. Okay, so that was the thing. Let me just go back. So children, you can just start just doing this exercise part. Just come to 50 basically. Okay, that's the next chapter that we went to. Just a minute. Okay, so here it is. So as that's page number, that is 36 first. Okay, over here it will be 46, since this is a PDF file we have opened in the browser. Okay, so you can write that, explain the major functions of the OS. So children, you can write all the major functions that we have gone through. It's very straightforward. Just try to write the main points, okay, in your notebook. So what is the purpose of language processors? Yes, we require the language processors. What are the three language processors? That is a interpreter, compiler, and the assembler. And I have told you why we require an assembler, and what is the difference between an interpreter and a compiler. Even that I have explained very nicely. So differentiate between an interpreter and compiler, we have done this. So priority scheduling and round robin scheduling, even this we have done. Buffering and spooling, we have done. Time sharing and real-time operating systems, we have done. So just give the proper at least two differences you can give. Explanatory utilities, that is the antivirus software first. Second is the disk defragmenter, and I also told you why we require a disk defragmenter. And what is the word processing software? Where we can process the document, right? We can create a document, we can format the document, right? Change the font size, colors. So for preparing a document, we require a word processing software. Example, Microsoft Word. What is the difference between an open source and a freeware? Just now we have gone through this, children. You can give this example. And how are freeware and free software differentiate? Okay, this is a good example. Basically, freeware is free to use, but it's not free to the source code is not available, and you cannot redistribute it, you cannot resell it. That's freeware. And free software is something that is completely free, the source code is also available, and the you can also redistribute means हम इसको बाद में कुछ changes करके वापस इसको sell कर सकते हैं. That is completely free software. And that's it, children. So this is the chapter, very interesting. These are the basics that should be very much clear to you. So please complete this chapter, this exercise part. We have discussed this in your notebook. And if there is any issue, you can just ask me. If there is any question that you're not able to come up with, please ask me when the WhatsApp window is open. Okay, so that's it, children. Now I'm just ending this session. We will meet tomorrow. Bye.